My next guest, we want to focus a little bit more on the hardware. We had him on the show back in May when we were launching the new A-Series AFFs, and we couldn't have a show talking about hardware without bringing this guy on. You all know him. You all love him. He's a friend of the community, a friend of the show here. My good buddy, Mr. Chris Lueth. Chris, thanks for joining the show, man. Really appreciate you having you here.
Nick, it's great to see you.
I brought all your friends.
Well, the thing is, there's something about you. Every time we get together, we're releasing new hardware.
Yes.
So I kind of like that aspect of our relationship.
Over the last 2 years, I was just talking about with Jason. If you go back to 23, we had the C-Series, we had the ASA. This year we had the new A-Series, and now new ASAs. We've had 2 years of lots of hardware launches, and I'm curious, have you seen 2 years from NetApp like that in your tenure at NetApp?
Oh, well, let's be fair. It's 2 years on a calendar, but it's like 15 years of activity.
Sure.
It's been super intense, but, if you look at the stock price, there's a reason why it doubled up. That's because of all the stuff we've been able to do and innovate over the past 2 years. So, we're on steroids right now, and I can't talk futures, but I can say we're not letting up.
Oh, yeah. We're not going anywhere. We're not done just yet. So now that it's out there, with the ASA platform, can you tell us the difference between what the A-Series and the ASA is, as far as it's not just about limiting protocols or turning things off or anything like that? What is the fundamental difference between those two, the A-Series and the ASA?
So you hate to oversimplify, but you turn off some of the things customers don't need.
Right.
If you don't need NAS, and NAS is innocuous. If you don't configure it, it's basically not there.
Yeah.
But in the world of SAN, there are security concerns.
Yep.
If you don't need something, just don't put it on the box. Don't have it capable, because people do crazy things. Somebody with admin capabilities, hey, what's this NFS?
Yeah.
So anyway, not having it is peace of mind for customers. That's primary. Well, then the other aspect is, if you're not using certain capabilities, why pay for them?
Exactly.
So you get a better price point on a system like
Well, you go buy a car, nobody wants to pay for those options that you're never going to use, right? So I feel the same way about my storage systems. I love the fact that we've got systems now where you can just not pay for the things that you don't intend to use, and you've got that option when you're buying something.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've still got the unified platforms, the A-Series, right? The FAS systems are still out there, C-Series.
There's two sides. You give the customer a lot of choices.
Yep.
Sometimes it adds complexity. But on the other hand, it lets customers pick exactly what it is they need in a storage system. Now, going into some other differences with the ASA platform.
Yeah.
The version we released last year is really on tap. NAS turned off, better price point. But, admins, when they were setting up storage for SAN, needed to know some strange sounding words like aggregates, RAID groups, and different things. SAN admins speak LUN. LUN is one-word vocabulary.
Right.
So with the new ASA offering that we're announcing today, we've actually simplified setup to the point. At the keynote just now, they had a complete novice provision a LUN to serve data in like 21 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's drastically simplified and is focused on the language that SAN admins understand.
Yeah, and as long as you've got your initiator, your identifier from whatever workload you're attaching that LUN to, you just drop it in the box and you're done, right? You tell it how big you want it to be.
Yeah, and in fact, if you're at Insight this year, there's a ASA setup challenge over here to see how fast you can actually do it.
We can kind of hear them. They're playing a video game back there. It's almost like The Price is Right or some kind of game, but they're having a challenge where you can actually try and set up an ASA the fastest or provision storage to a workload the fastest. It's exciting. It's fun. I love little games and challenges like that. I asked Jason, our previous guest, the same question, and I want to ask you, where do you see things at Are you happy with where we're at right now with the portfolio that we have? I don't remember a time personally where I felt this fulfilled with a hardware portfolio at NetApp in over 10, 12 years that I've been here. It seems pretty complete. I'm not sure that there's one thing left to do, but we'll talk about that another time. But it feels in a pretty good spot right now.
Yes, I'm pretty proud of what we've been able to do. But yeah, you're right. We will have another rendezvous coming up. We're not satisfied.
No.
We're not going to.
We're never resting on our laurels in that sense.
And then, it's a vicious cycle. You don't get like a 3-month sabbatical. You jump right back in and start working on next generation hardware. And one of the great things with these platforms, if you look at the AFF A series we launched in May and now this new ASA offering, I was thinking of a good analogy, and I came up with, when a fighter jet is in a dogfight and it needs like a big burst of speed for whatever reason, it puts on the afterburner. I tell you what, this new hardware really put on the afterburner for us over the competition.
Nice.
I mean, I would love to be a fly on the wall in some of their boardrooms. What the hell happened? But anyway, now that customers have seen this new offering and, what we're going to be doing, in the future, we want that kind of feedback loop because we want to hear what customers are, how close it meets their needs or, what they would do differently.
Yeah.
So we want to get that kind of feedback. So for all you customers out there, put your thinking caps on. Look at this new platform. Look at the, platforms we release in, the upcoming future. And give us that feedback. That's how we build these platforms that meet customers' expectations because customers actually influence the design.
So one last thing I want to go over with you real quick is let's get into some geeky hardware details for a second. So you brought up that it's taken many, many years to get to this point, and I think people often overlook or they're just not close enough to what happened with supply chain during COVID and how bad that set us back as being a manufacturer of these kinds of goods, and particularly like where a lot of this stuff can be sourced from. So have we gotten to a point now where when we talk about this new ASA that's announced, are we in alignment with the sort of hardware that's crisscross? Is it the same hardware guts and internals in the A series that are in the ASA? Are we pretty platform similar when it comes to that, or is there anything unique about the ASA from base level hardware stuff?
Exactly the same hardware.
Exactly the same. Exactly. That's what I wanted to clarify.
Everything that you loved about the AFF A series we announced in May, the PCIe Gen 5, the onboard quick assist technology, QAT, storage offload efficiency engine. You get tremendous compression at no performance penalty, faster memory, DDR5, the doubling the slot density, the adapter service separately from the node itself. In the case of the A1K, the node services out the front. Just, serviceability, all that carries over seamlessly. And we are going to see some SAN deployments that use iSCSI, but we're also going to see NVMe over Fibre Channel.
Yep.
We're going to see NVMe over TCP. Those are SAN workloads. And we have that new adapter as well. Currently it supports up to 200 gig speeds, but with the future firmware release, we'll unlock 400 gig Ethernet speed and security offload.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, so all that stuff that was so fun to talk about when I was here in May carries over to the ASA.
There is a common misconception that block is just Fibre Channel. And I think a lot of people, like iSCSI is still hanging around, it's still doing well, but I think people are sleeping on NVMe over Fibre, NVMe over TCP as well. That's probably one of the things that I'm most excited about, specifically existing Ethernet infrastructure and how easily and modularly upgradable it is, and to that extent, without really having to rip out entire structured cabling setups and stuff like that. So as long as you're running like Cat 6 or you've got your twin-ax, big copper, or fiber infrastructure set up already, like unplug one, pull the switch, put the switch in, plug it back in, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to be good to go. I think that's the biggest value of NVMe over TCP that I look at, even Fibre Channel to that matter as well. But reusing that existing Ethernet infrastructure is going to be huge. The last thing I wanted
to build on that. Yeah, you're on this tangent. I want to I want to ride your draft off of it. So when we first released NVMe over Fibre Channel, it's like raw. And the reason customers really were hesitant to adopt it, well, one, the OS vendors, were still catching up. But the other thing is it was a data migration. And that's, let's be blunt, that's a pain.
Yeah.
Copying your data to, from a LUN to a namespace. we made that simpler. We now, well, for some time now, we've done a data in place conversion from a LUN to a namespace.
Yep.
So that barrier's gone. But then once you make that leap, what are you getting? So you're getting almost double the number of IOPS at the same low latency point. You're talking half a millisecond.
A microsecond sometimes,
and you're doubling your IOP throughput. Like you said, no extra investment or anything. It's a compelling offer to make.
Yeah.
Back to you, Nick.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to close it out, like, if you're already on 25 or 40 gig Ethernet, like you have like that, you should absolutely prioritize looking at NVMe over TCP because it will be a game changer. If you're still on single gig or maybe just still hanging 10 gig around for your storage network and stuff, like think about looking at 25 and 40 because that could really, really be a game changer. Chris, anything else you want to say about the new ASA platforms or the new FAS that you have? That beautiful, I love that silver, almost chrome, shiny kind of bezel you got going on over there. Anything you want to say about the new hardware platforms that announced today? These are your babies.
So, we're seeing really great adoption for the platforms we launched in May just because of all the compelling reasons, all the customer design system.
Yeah.
So they love it. They're buying it. 2 years back, I was talking to a customer, and they were pounding, I want to buy this today. So it's doing really well. ASA versions of that platform announced today. We expect to see that same sort of ramp. But what we've seen with the ASA systems that we released last year, we go back to 2019 with ASA, right?
Yeah.
And it was a very slow ramp. With the approach last year, a better price point, all the things we did.
The ONTAP One licensing.
That was legacy platforms, if you will. But they are doing extremely well. We're doing competitive takeouts. Those are always fun.
Yep.
You get a little extra charge out of competitive takeout, but we're also knocking out some big wins against our competitors for net new. And we're even seeing, it's hard to unseat the Tier 1 SAN deployments. They're entrenched, if you will. So, but we're actually taking those out too. So it's the entire stack from entry level all the way up to like our A900. Now our new high-end ASA systems.
Right.
It's fun, no matter what the customer's needs are. And a lot of these customers have multiple locations, right? They have big data centers, obviously. They have edge locations. But it's nice running a consistent architecture across the board. You don't need a high-end system in a remote location. Go with the entry-level system. So you just got a full product offering, and that really helps these global enterprises.
I did just notice we had a question come in chat for you. So before you get out of here, I got to ask you at least one question from OG1. It says, can these new ASA models do active-active NVMe over TCP?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fully active-active. Yes. I like
pretty much everything on these ASAs are active-active. Like the failover on, there is no real failure domain when I think about it in that way. Well, Chris, thank you so much for stopping by. Always great to have you on the show, man. Love geeking out over hardware with you, and this has been fantastic. We are definitely, I don't know, sometime in the near future, going to be getting back together for more information on some additional things.
I won't be able to sleep until then.
Yes.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, Chris.